Good morning, good morning, good morning. Y'all know what time it is.
Live from the WGBS studios. Get your cup of coffee or get your shot of whiskey. It's time for Coffee Chat with Sam and Janet.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. I have to clean these glasses, man.
I got it's coffee chat, but I gotta go get my coffee. I got the most important thing. I'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. I hope you guys had a fabulous week so far. It's hump day.
Okay, Mas Bueno. I'm ready to go now. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. Middle of the week, aka as JCG just said, it is hump day. You know, I always looked at Wednesday as that day of the week that if you were kind of slipping on your goals, slipping on your tipping, if you will, Wednesday is that day you can catch up. You know what? I'm going to finish the week strong, like Strong J. Strong like 6 bulls. You see what the little sip of coffee did for me? I got to have my coffee.
Did you say like Strong J?
Strong J. I took you back, huh? Back with that one.
Way back.
Back with that one. Strong J. Okay, so we're going to get started here right about now. Good morning, guys. Welcome to Coffee Chat. I'm Sam G, and she is
Janet Campbell Geyser.
What's going on today?
Well, you tell me. You woke up and was doing some a little bit of heavy lifting this morning on your social media. What happened with your tank situation?
Yeah, right. Okay, well, what had happened was I made this post yesterday about the new Tank. I'm old school, so the Tank album, right? You know, just messing around, having fun. And you're talking about the person, the scammer, whatever.
Yeah.
Someone came in and put this link on everybody's comment on the post. So I had to take care of that because I didn't want anyone to think that, you know, that came from somebody I know. I don't know the person, probably not even a real person. And then It led me to think about how easy it is for people to get, you know, kind of scammed in this day and age. Guys, for me, it's just simple. I mean, that looks so out of place. And when someone comes in like that and do all those posts on the comments, it's kind of clear. Don't click on those links. You know, I have clients I'm helping set up multiple. We got some real estate accounts we do over here. We got, of course, two or three different investment accounts, and so I'm showing them what it looks like when the information comes legitimately from these companies, as opposed to just this morning. I don't think I told you this, Janet. One of my clients, you know, said, "Look what I just got." You were right. It's easy to spot that stuff, but you know, we're so. Here's how they kind of get us. We're so busy in our day-to-day actions. Everybody's on, you know, at least a minimum of 3 social media platforms. So we just click stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, take a half a second, look at it, look at the links. Now they're coming into your text messages, right? And dropping those links in there. So I thought thanks for reminding me. Thought I'd mention that. Just take a couple of extra seconds and look at that stuff. It's so clear. I mean, Janice always asks me, well, how do people get scammed? I said, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. That could be a whole coffee chat segment. But it's so, when you just take a half a second to look at it, it's so clear and evident that, you know what, this didn't come from Sam.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this looks kind of suspicious. Immediately delete it. Don't think about it. Don't say, hey, I'm gonna see what it is, because once you click that link, it's over with.
You know what happens to me often is that when I'm posting on Instagram, I get a lot of that on my Instagram posts. But it's like you said, I mean, I get people that send things to my inbox. You know, good morning, Pat. Good morning, Rashad. I get people that send things to my inbox like all the time. And I'm really not a person that'll click on something. You gotta like tell me, hey, this is me. Did you check out did you check out that video I sent? And I'm like the carpenter, right? Measure twice, cut once. So I'm going to verify and verify and verify, because that's just the way that that's just the way that I personally am. So I don't get caught up, in those types of situations. But it's like you said, we're, especially on Facebook, there's some pretty hilarious things that used to go on, and people are just clicking away to try to see. What I would suggest people do is that if you see something, first reach out to your person. First, reach out to your person to find out if they sent that to you. Just like with the the new trend that isn't really new, it's been out for a while, is that people clone your accounts and they send you, they'll clone somebody's account and they'll send you a friend request. I do a couple of things. I go to that page and see what kind of pictures they got, and then I will reach out to the person that I know is my friend already. And I'll say, did you send me a friend request? I just received a friend request from you. Is that you? Because what I used to do is I used to just accept friend requests from people that I already knew. But the problem is that, then you have like multiple accounts, because these people don't realize that all you have to do is simply change your password. You don't have to keep creating these accounts. Just change your password.
You reminded me of one of my brothers. He
Yeah.
got like 6 Facebook pages.
Yes, that is one of several. That is one of several. Somebody copied your entire Facebook, your entire Instagram profile. Yeah, they're doing that. So you have to be, you just have to be careful. One of the recently, one of the vendors that I order stuff for on TikTok, the somebody sent, like, they had this whole promotion going on of who's gonna win, like 10 items or something like that, right? And so when I put my, because this was a profile that I was used to seeing. Number one, they had the logo and all of that stuff on there, and I had like put my business name, in the comments, because that's all that they asked for. Well, they turned around and they sent me a whole other email and the or message, private message. But then I was just looking at their handle, and I'm like, this just doesn't look right. So I went over to Instagram, I went over to their website, and I sent a message. I copied and pasted the message that I received, and I'm like, is this y'all? Is this y'all? And they were like, no. So they had to blast it out on all of their social medias, that there was a copycat. So yeah, we have to be, you just have to be diligent, right, in how you choose to maneuver your social media platforms.
Absolutely. So I am going to, just for disclosure, I'm going to share that post so you guys will know what I'm talking about. I deleted the link this morning that someone had went in and put all over the place, but it was this post, in case you kind of liked it or commented on it. Do not click on the link from a person talking about somebody else. Click this link to get in touch with this other guy or some guys. Those are scam artists. Just be careful.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had to tell our parents. Like, my mom actually got a social Facebook page.
Why are you laughing like that?
I'm like,
I mean,
Leah, what are you gonna do on Facebook? Like, for real, for real.
she got her Facebook friends. Her and her tea drinkers. Whatever.
Whatever, yeah, whatever. But my niece had made one for her, and then our my in-laws, they had one. And but you have to, when you're older people, you just have to let them know. Don't click on stuff. Call me first. Because they just, I mean, it looks innocent, but for us that are in our particular age group, you really, you should know. And if you don't know, well, now you know.
Now you know. Um, okay, so enough about that.
Mm-hmm.
You guys get the. I know what you're going to say when I say this, but you guys get the idea. Just use common sense. But Janet always, every time I say that, she says common sense isn't common.
Common sense ain't common.
But
Common sense is not. It's
we're
been
gonna
proven time and time again.
move over. I think we need to hire a couple people.
You always say that.
I'm
You
serious.
always say that.
I'm serious. I need to hire a couple people. I need my virtual assistant.
Mm, 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 mm. I'm just moving right along.
We can both. I need my virtual assistant and someone to manage the studio. Rashad.
Pat said I saw that and laughed because I thought about our happy hour chats. And then I said that that's not him after I got to thinking about the artist.
Mm-hmm.
You have to
common sense. See, Pat used common sense. Thought about it for a
sense.
second, asked the question, and was able to proceed with extreme caution. That's right, Coach.
Now,
Common sense isn't common, huh?
now to clarify, the tank post
Yes.
was his.
The tank.
The-
Let me. Okay.
Yeah,
The
the
post
tank post was his.
is mine.
Because Sam is ridiculous. Okay.
This post is mine. I don't know. You couples out there, you people in a relationship, you might want to. Hey guys, you might want to download this CD down because everything's streaming now, right? Go to whatever your streaming app is and just turn it on, man. I'll tell you what you do. You turn it on and you turn it on full blast and don't call me because I'm not responsible for what might happen 9 months later, right?
Got my nephew talking about not chasing Aunt Janet. But the post that he did, that is his post. It was the comments that, and this person posted a link.
I see you want to talk about that some more, huh?
Yeah, that's because I knew that's what Pat was referring to.
Okay.
So the post itself is Sam's, but there were some comments on each person who commented. No, there were comments on each person who commented. There was some type of link attached to each person who commented that was spam. But Sam has that person must have did that at midnight while we were all sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And because we wake up so early, Sam caught it, before anybody else looked at it and took it all down.
Well, and the reason why I wanted to take it down, since we're on this still, because when you're a trusted source, and
Mm-hmm.
not to be bragging, but we both are with trusted sources. People just, oh, okay, this must be legit. It's on Sam's comment. I mean, it's on Sam's post, and some people won't think twice. They'll just click on it, and boom, they got you.
Right. And that's the part that we want to avoid on our platforms, right? We just want to avoid that.
That's us using common sense.
So on Monday, babe, we were talking about, we were talking about schools and how teachers are leaving public schools. And the question came up. Not only do I delete the comment, but I put a warning on the same post to recognize as spam.
Oh, that's a good
good idea to edit the post and say that. But he did block. I think he blocked whoever that was, so they could never. I don't think that's a Facebook friend of his, but he was able to block it. But we were talking about on Monday, we were ending our chat talking about schools and how the teachers and bus drivers, they're leaving in droves. And that segued into homeschooling. And so, you have people that have their opinions, to homeschool or not to homeschool. There's a lot of people who don't believe that homeschooling, that people will get a good education, quote unquote, in homeschooling, or they also don't believe that the children would be will be socialized, in home while they're homeschooling. And so we kind of ended the conversation with that and said that we would take it back up on today. So, I know several people who homeschool, and but I did a little. I went to this website,
Did a little
homeschool.
research. You
I
did a
did a
little
little research. I did a little research. Thanks, babe. Because clearly I must need some more coffee. So, what made me bring this back up is because it was either yesterday or late Monday. I was talking to my son, and he brought it up about, he wasn't he didn't believe that kids, should be were socialized in homeschooling. And so we had this conversation because there was an incident that happened at the high school that he had attended. He and my daughter had attended. There was an incident that happened recently, and parents were, of course, outraged, because you're getting into you could potentially get into a situation where you had another Sandy Hook situation at the school that he had attended, as a kid. So we were having a conversation, and I'm like, when I was in school, right? When I was in school, when I was in elementary, junior high, I was bullied, believe it or not. Yes, I was bullied in school. I was the new kid. So you get bullied against if you're the new kid on the block, or you get bullied against sometimes when you transition from one school to the next, when you're like you become the new kid again. So from middle school to high school,
Mm-hmm.
But during the time that I was in school and these incidents did happen, it was fisticuffs, right? And even when he was in was in school, he had a couple of incidences as being a new kid on the block, where he had some incidences, but it was still basically fisticuffs. Today's kid,
How does
you
that
know
relate to homeschooling, man?
well, I'm getting into that. I know
Okay.
I'm
I
going
mean,
all
I know
around
you
the
like these details.
Today's kid are bringing guns to school, right?
Okay.
Okay. So you have a situation where you have this great exodus of teachers in
Right.
public schools. You have
Right.
the incidents of where children aren't being respectful of the authority that teachers have. You have
Right.
the incidents where the parents are siding with the children and and fighting the teachers or whatever.
Right.
Good morning. And then you have the situations where it's like a bullying to the extreme. So when people say that they are just going to homeschool their kids, you know um you can understand that particular decision. When it comes to the socialization, however, kids are just as, in my opinion, and according to this research that I did, you have kids that are in public school that are socially awkward. And if we actually think about our time in school, we know those people. We came across those people. So it doesn't matter if you're homeschooled or public schools. There are children that are going to be socially awkward. Period. You also have when you think about not being socialized, when children are growing up, they, little kids that can't go to school, they play with their friends. That's socialization. And like Sam and I were discussing before, homeschoolers, there's a whole community, of kids that are homeschooled, that get together. There's an organization, they get together, they do field trips. There's a lot of socialization that goes on with that. And I think that it's unfair, to think that homeschool kids are just locked up in the house, and not interacting with other people or other situations outside of school. My grandson is playing pee-wee football. He's not playing football for his school. He's playing pee-wee. When my son was growing up, he played all the quote unquote city league sports. And then of course when he was in, he played for the schools as well. So, when it comes to socialization, I completely disagree, with that. What say you?
Okay, let me tell you. Let me say this real quick, okay? First of all, might ruffle some feathers. The public school system is a business. Like, what? They don't sell nothing. Okay. And I agree with everything you said, by the way, Janet. But when we look at this country and how things are done here, and by the way, it brings up a book that I always suggest people to read. The History of the United States by Howard Zinn. I'll type it here in the comment section in a second. So if we look at this country, foundationally was set up to be a corporation, a business. Okay, systems on top of systems, businesses intertwining, all with one theme, capitalism in mind, right? And guys, the capitalism that's in this country, right, especially over the last 20 years, is an extreme form of capitalism. Okay, now watch this. So if you look at the public school system as the business, you'll see it's all about where the money is flowing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the money flows up and away from where it should be, which is the children. And to use the word again, extreme proof of that is what is happening. And y'all need to start staying on top of some of these things, especially with we're talking about school and you got kids, because people think stuff just happened. Okay, one day it wasn't this, and the next day, we got this thing going on. No, stuff happens over time, slowly, gradually, and it builds up. By the time you realize something's happening, it's been happening for months, if not years. So this whole exodus of teachers, guys, it's been happening for at least 3 to 4 years on a major level. These people didn't just wake up and say, "Hey, I'm done with this." It's been years and years of fighting with students now, fighting with parents, low pay. Their pay has not kept up with inflation. Well, that's across industries in this country. Has not kept up with inflation or the cost of living, right? And then on top of that, the major disrespect that we've seen over the last few years with these kids and these parents. I mean, who would want to work in an environment? The problem with that is the mass exodus of the teachers, is that we're losing in that bunch the good teachers. So this is something that's going to be going on. We're going to see the ramifications of what's going on right now for some years to come. But back to the business side of it, well, Sam, how can you make a statement? Because I read a lot, first of all, and I was in that space. I was in that education space when Janet, remember when I was doing when Gisyer Benefits Solutions, shameless self promotion, was in the space of doing employee benefits.
Right.
So not to disclose anything, but I saw the salary ranges.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how, and maybe it's my naivete. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, you did.
In properly structured benefit, I mean, income packages, right? I don't understand why a principal needs to make $200,000 a year, but we got a problem getting the supplies in the classroom. See, it's flipped up. See, I mean, it's flipped around for me, Janet. The most important thing has been pushed to the bottom, which is what? When we're talking about school, the education of kids. If you extrapolate on that, the education of kids, the future of this country. We all know education is important, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a business, man. When you look at something that should not be a business, uh, the right way, you see all of it. It just stares right in front of your face. It'll change your whole perspective, right? It'll change you from going to these district meetings and arguing with these folks because they really don't care. They're part of the system, right? Those are the fat cats who are getting, the big payouts and everything. They're not really caring about the kids. Because my opinion is this: if the kids were the priority and the teachers, so it should be the kids first and the teachers, right? we wouldn't have these issues in the school system, which is something that everybody agrees, whether you're Dem, Republican, whatever side of the aisle you're on, is very important. And what started me on this is when you said about the socialization, that was just a ploy. But see, the homeschooling was a movement. It started as a movement.
Mm-hmm.
That movement caught fire, right? And just kept growing and growing. It's still growing. It's going to grow even more now, more so now out of necessity. Because I'm going to tell you right now, JCG, we had kids. Actually, if I had control over my grandkids, they wouldn't be in public school.
Right.
They would be in a
Right.
charter school or a private school, right? They would not be in, or we'd have try to help. If our kids wanted to homeschool, we'd help, facilitate that, whatever they need to help that make that happen,
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to get worse, right? So
So
why is
I
it in this
just,
country that we've had this going on? There's always been issues in the public school system, but it's one of the most important areas for the future of the country. That's the future. The kids are the future. I
mhm.
believe the kids are the future. I'm not the CEO in the family, by the way, but that just popped in my head.
I just pulled up some statistics, okay, because we like numbers. From think tank, thinkimpact.com. Academic performance of homeschooled students. Okay. According to thinkimpact.com, homeschool students perform much better than their counterparts in formal institutional
That's a
schooling.
fact.
Peer-reviewed studies indicate that 69% of homeschool students succeed in college and adulthood. Homeschool students tend to perform above average in their ACTs and SATs. In this standard achievement test, the homeschool students average between 15 to 30% more points than the students attending public schools, notwithstanding the parents' income and education. Notwithstanding, so it doesn't mean that because you make X amount of money, above somebody else, your income bracket, if you're homeschooled, these kids make between 15 to 30% more points. Homeschool students average 72 points more than the nationwide means performance in SATs. The average performance of homeschoolers is 22.8 out of 36 points compared to the national average of 21. Homeschoolers have an average graduation rate of 67% compared to 57.5% graduation rate for students from public schools. So, the reason why these numbers, I believe, favor home schools is really, really, real simple. They don't have the distractions that go on in public schools. You have a teacher that's stressed out. She has 30 plus students in her class and she's trying to teach the curriculum, and you have little Bobby or little Sasha or whoever it is simply cutting up in
Cutting up,
class,
acting a
just cutting
fool.
up. And so the teacher has to take the time away from the curriculum for corrective measures, so the student who is there to actually learn, there it is a constant interruption. And I can say that because that was my own experience when I was actually teaching. That was my experience, hands-on experience. And so you only have a block of time, in the classroom, and that block of time needs to be spent giving as much information to the students as you can. But you can't do that when little Bobby is cutting up. You take away from that. So I believe that, when we look at the numbers, we can have our own opinions, about whether to, put our kids in public school. I simply could not afford to put my children in private school because I was a single parent. If I could have, I would have. But what I did was I felt like the second best thing that I could do for my situation. I put them in the best schools, public school district. I made sure that wherever I lived, the school district was, top tier, and it was like I was when I was talking to my son, the school that he went to, and his wife went to, and her siblings, that was a top tier school for that time, right? For that time. It has changed. My oldest granddaughter is attending that school. She's attending that school, and there was an incident, and there will probably continue to be incidences. By the time my grandkids, they're just, one just started, first grade, and the other one ain't even in, she's still in like daycare type school. But once they get to the stages to where they are attending middle school and then high school, I really hope that they, I'll definitely be pushing for private school.
Absolutely. So let's take a quick break.
Okay.
We'll be right back, guys. Gotta pay the. And we're back. So if you're just joining us, we've been talking about we started at the top of the show about guys, beware of scammers. So when they came in and posted on the comments on a post that I did, and we've been talking about that something that's really a passion of Janice is the education system right now. So I think you were making a point, or had you finished, or we're going to move on to something else?
I had finished. I just wanted to, look at some of the comments.
Okay.
Yeah, my daughter was bullied in school, and unfortunately, that seed of unworthiness was planted and has been a continuous cycle since that time. She is now 30 and still feels that she's not good enough. It's frustrating sometimes trying to prove to her otherwise. I don't think that you're alone in that. For whatever those reasons are, but bullying is a big thing. And I remember a couple of instances, when we were in high school. I remember this girl who she was supposed to be a friend of mine. We lived in the same neighborhood, and I remember clearly she had taken this other girl. The girl hadn't done anything to her. She literally hot spit in this girl's face.
Ew,
took
right.
her books and spit on the books and threw them in the trash.
Wow.
And this girl, she was meek, right? She didn't bother anybody. She was meek. But the person who was supposed to be my friend did this to her, and I defended that girl, because I'm like, that why would you even do that? That girl didn't even do anything to you. Let me tell you something. Years later, I remembered the situation, but I didn't remember the girl. Okay, I didn't remember the person that this had happened to. And so I reconnected on social media with somebody who I'd gone to school with. And we met for lunch. We were just chit-chatting it up. And I had said something about, some kind of way this incident came up. And she said to me, Jan, I was that girl. That was me. And I will never forget that you defended me. I am not a proponent of, messing with people who really can't defend themselves. I'm really not a proponent for that, even when I was younger, and I wasn't the person who would, my mama always said, don't start fights, don't start any fights. But Janet or, Tony, Lowly, whoever, you better end them. If somebody comes at you, you better end, you better end it. So, even in the situations, it would take me a very, very long time to defend my own position, right? But once I did, It's like you could say whatever you wanted to say about me. I didn't care about that. But if you put your hands on me, that was a completely different scenario. Completely different. So I understand what you're saying. And I think that this it can impact all kinds of areas in your life, right? It really can. So
I
that breaks
feel
my
I don't
heart.
know if this is the case, but when I see that Rhonda said the seed of unworthiness was planted in her, I
Mm-hmm.
know with our kids, the teachers are doing that a lot. So that's how I kind of read that. Maybe she can give some clarity on it if she's still listening. Um, because that no, little kids, well, kids period, even in high school, look to the well, not the kids these days, right? Typically look to the teachers as an authority figure, and they kind of believe everything they say. And my example of that is when our kids are told, "Oh, maybe you shouldn't think so high of trying to be a lawyer. Maybe you can, do this instead."
Right.
I mean, think about it. There's tons of data on how high school counselors have swayed our kids away from things that they wanted to do. I remember we watched the was it the Michelle? No, it was the First Lady show.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed Michelle Obama as a high school student, and her counselor did that to her. But her
Right.
mom told her, "No, you're going to do what you're going to go to the college you want to go to. And you're going to be in a position that to go after the dreams that you want." So that's how I read that part. But maybe I'm incorrect. Maybe she'll put some more clarity on that for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe so. I know, when my daughter was bullied, you know, it was just like such ridiculousness, for the dumbest reasons.
Hmm.
Whoever you are, you can't help how you look. That's your genetics. You can't you can't help the gift that God instilled in you. That's that was planted. You can't even help how smart you are. And you shouldn't be held for those things. So I was told by a woodshop teacher that I was never going to amount to anything. Woodshop.
Happens, man. It happens,
But
right?
wait,
Uh,
woodshop.
you cold, man. You cold for that one. Oh yeah. So
Woodshop.
correction real quick as Janet is rolling on that one. The book I mentioned, I always say the history of the United States, but it's a people's history of the United States by Howard Zinn, guys. If you want to know how this company is I mean this country is what it's all about, read that book. It's a good book to read. I've given away 2 copies of it, so I need to get another copy. Hint, 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 hint,
Oh
hint,
Lord.
hint.
So Pat says, it happened to me because I was told I was too
Hmm.
smart to be a creative artist. I should go to college. I was also denied access to vocational training. Our high school had a full service dry cleaner and clothing
Wow.
lab that I was unable to get in.
See? And not to age our good friend Pat, I'll just say in our generation or my generation, Janet's generation, you might think, oh, that was a long time ago, but it really wasn't.
It
But
wasn't.
my point is, this still happens. I tell you what, Janet, since you're the keeper of statistics, if you can, this might be a little bit more deeper, but there's some stuff I was reading a couple of months ago that,
Hmm.
guys, and it's going to ruffle some feathers because we always want to say, oh, the US of A is the best country in the world. We're great at everything. Take a look at the slide as where as this country is ranking in education. Now, we used to be number one, right? We used to be able to brag about that for, I think, at least a couple of decades, right, in education. We've slid way down as a country as far as education. So all the things we're talking about, the bullying, the how teachers are, segmenting students based on, nationality, everything else is going in schools, the mass shootings in schools, all of that has an effect on the quality of education. And one of my pet peeves is how the money trickles up to the administration staff and sometimes the board, the districts as well, where it's not being placed where it should be, which is number one, for the benefit of the kids, and number two, for the benefit of those who are teaching and guiding the lives of the future generations of this country. Um, I'm not sure if that's some information you can find really quickly, but we have slid tremendously in the global rankings for education. Don't believe me? Look it up yourself. And by the way, guys, I'm always saying Google. I think Johnny, you say Google. There's several other search engines out there, because a lot of people go, oh well, they make this crazy statement where Google isn't legit. Well, if you feel that way, find another search engine. There's tons of them, right? The important thing is for you to begin the process of researching these things, not taking it as face value. Don't even believe anything I say. Don't believe anything Janet say. Go and look it up for yourself. Go and look up the fact that there's a huge amount of Black parents now that are moving over into the homeschooling system, just like Ashley said, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, don't believe Ashley. Go look it up for yourself. She can speak on it because she homeschools her kids. She's in the mix, if you will. Um, but all of these things we're saying in regards to the school system, just a snippet of what's going on in the school system, is directly related to how we're ranking on a global scale for education. Okay, and it is not good. And we see that manifesting, Janet. We see it
Mm-hmm.
manifesting in how the kids are behaving, how the kids are doing. There's whole generations, and whether you like the person or not, I absorb information from tons of people. I have a nephew that he was kind of shocked that I share with him that, hey man, I just learned two things from you. I'm not that old head guy. Oh, I guess I can say that now, huh? I can technically call myself an old head.
Yeah, you're past 50. I guess you can.
I feel kind of good about that. Right. I said, nah, man, I'm not that old head guy that, think I know everything better than you. I learn from everybody. And that's one of the reasons I love to engage in people, right? And I was sharing that with him, and I just learned a couple of things for you. And not only that, there was a couple of things that actually, here's how this works, right? When we don't uh, uh, block these blessings, if you will, there was a something that I needed as a piece of my business that he and I were, chatting it up about. And I say, hey, man, I actually needed that, right? I had something in place, but I was like, it wasn't quite there, right? That's why conversations are so important to me. Now, Janet will attest to this. I don't conversate on a deep level with everybody. That's reserved. Okay, this particular nephew is in that circle, right? Do I have conversations? And generally speaking, absolutely, because I genuinely love people. But on that deeper nature, as far as me, who I'm absorbing from, those are kind of special people in my circle that I allow that to happen to. Did you find anything on that?
According to worldpopulationview.com, okay?
I
One
like the
thing
fact
I
that you're throwing out the references because
Yes, according to that. Because you know what? In college, you always had to cite. You could not just voice your opinion. You had to cite where you got your data from. But according to this, which I do not believe, however, I think this is kind of skewed. Countries with the best educational systems. Well, educational systems. All right. Number one is the US. Number two, United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, France, Switzerland, Japan, Australia, Sweden, and the Netherlands. But check it. Ironically, despite the United States having the best surveyed education system on the globe, US students consistently score lower in math and science than students from many other countries.
So you know how I like to. I'm sorry, I got to cut you off. Hold your thought, though. You know how I like to talk about systems. Here's a
Mhm.
great example of a system that's on the surface looks excellent.
Exactly.
Okay, it
Exactly.
because we can set up a system, in theory, that's going to do some. I can say, hey guys, hey traders, I'm going to set up a whole new trading system aside from what we're using right now. I can make it sound like the best thing since sliced bread. That
Right.
does not mean it's
That
gonna
does
work.
not mean that it's good. According to Business Insider report in 2018, the US ranked 38.
What was that now?
The US ranked 38 in math score.
Wait. They ranked number three.
Number 38.
No, you mean we rank 8.
Number 38. 38.
Okay.
Okay, in math scores, and 24th in science. Discussions about why the United States educational rankings have fallen by international standards over the past 3 decades frequently point out that government spending on education has failed to keep up with inflation. So I'm going to pause right there,
Okay.
right? Remember when, we were in school, we're aging ourselves. When we were in school, you had all of these things that students didn't have to buy anything. Parents didn't have to buy anything. Everything was provided
Yeah, you're
for the
going way
student.
back. You're going way
Yeah.
back now.
Okay. But in addition to that, to you know uh India's point, to Pat's point, we had things like wood shop, home ec,
Hmm.
music, all of these other things to help your mind just kind of like expand, right? And that helped for development and retention as well. And so they cut out all of those programs. They cut out recess. How you cut out recess? How do you
I,
cut out recess?
I think
They
it's a
don't.
travesty that they cut out music, Janet. You and I are both music lovers, and you more so than I for obvious reasons, because it's been proven how music helps cognitive development, helps the brain
Exactly.
development, especially at the
Exactly.
ages that we can introduce it to. Right? I'm sorry.
And
Go ahead.
so when we talk about how the government has uh, taken out funding, have removed funding for education to keep up with inflation, how ridiculous is that? That you attack something that's developmentally sound for children, and then you're not paying your educators, and then your educators have to turn around and buy supplies out of their 30, 40, $50,000 salary for their students.
Hmm.
Because here's the deal, you still, no matter where you go, you still have families and parents that are still disenfranchised, right? So no matter what, there's always going to be a measure of collectives that we, other people, have to help, you know, push along. Because what you don't want is, you don't want it to make a kid feel bad about the fact that they can't afford whatever X, Y, and Z. So you want to make sure that you have enough to cover whatever it is that you need to cover. The government takes away funding. Okay, so it's also worthwhile to note that while the best countries study are certainly respectable, other studies use different methodologies or emphasize different criteria, which often leads to different results. For example, the Global Citizens of Human Rights annual study measures 10 levels of education from early childhood enrollment rates to adult literacy. Its final 2020 ranking took a little bit looks a little bit different than what I just gave. And so of course I would have to, if we're so interested, we would have to, go through that. But there's this website called Better Schools or something like that, I believe, that I always looked at when I was whenever we had to relocate and I was trying to get my kids situated in schools. Because quite frankly, when you put if you have to put your kids in school, then you have to go to where the dollars are in that community,
Hmm.
right? You have to go because that's where your kid is going to get a little bit better education, because the parents are more involved. you know you got real PTAs, you have all of those
You got all
things.
these great programs in there.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank Rhonda for addressing my question about the previous comment she made.
Mm.
See,
Mm.
I kind of would, of course, I don't know Rhonda as well as you, but I kind of was feeling like it was probably a situation like this. Um, and she was in an academically gifted program on top of that. Wow, the scores through projects. Unfortunately, I didn't find these things out until later in the school year because my daughter was very meek as well. She also didn't want to tell me because she knew her mama would go up there and smack some ish out of somebody and she'd be embarrassed. The teachers indirectly participated in her self-esteem being destroyed because of continuation of the comment. Oh, it got cut off.
Because my daughter, wait a minute, where are we? The teachers indirectly. The teachers indirectly participated in her self-esteem being destroyed because they did not protect her. I had to go to the superintendent and threaten in all kinds of ways until they finally put out their black children in the program along with my daughter. Her teacher eventually quit when I threatened to go public with the treatment of my daughter and receiving in her that my daughter was receiving in her class. It was a mess. The sad part is that all of this is that again, it did some serious damage to her self-worth.
Wow. Thanks for responding, Rhonda, aka Chickawicka. Pat
I
has
hope that she is in some ongoing, you know, counseling. That is the saddest thing I've ever heard,
mm-hmm.
Which is again, that's a whole other type of conversation. Is why, we try to do the best that we can, for our kids, right? Rhonda and I, we were I count us as being pretty fortunate, in the high school, in the middle school that I went to, and the high school that we went to, because there was a lot of diversity at our schools. There was a lot of diversity. It wasn't, we didn't, when we attended school, it was probably 60-40, them and us. But we had administrative that were people of color. We had teachers that were people of color, and so we had I feel like I certainly had a good mix, but then when it comes to like my grandchildren, I kind of feel iffy when it comes to my grandchildren.
Why do you feel iffy?
Because they are mixed kids, right? And they are raised in relatively an all, white area. My concern is that once they really get acclimated to school, and stuff like that, is that they would be targeted because of their mixed race. That's just being honest. That's being honest from a black woman, a black mother. You know, that's a real concern of mine. But they have time to figure it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pat is on the alumni board at her high school. She had one of the best buying out programs in the region. Several years ago, the superintendent basically allowed the whole program to collapse. Wow. Over the last 6 years of sale, along with alumni and community interest, we are slowly building that program back. They turned our choir room into a dentist's office and a beautiful auditorium. They were doing wrestling matches. My school is 102 years old, so slowly we are once again being known as a fine art school. Well, at least you have a school, honey, because ours got shut down. So, I mean, the last time I went to one of our school class reunions, and Rhonda, I don't think you ever came for the class reunion. But the last time I went, I was just completely devastated because there were metal detectors, right? And we had never had metal detectors when I was going to school. There were metal detectors. So that meant that, the dynamics of our school had changed considerably. And now the school is closed, which is really, really heartbreaking. I have nowhere else to go. Whereas Sam, Sam's school, the school that he went to, people from his community that have been in that graduated from that school 80, 90 years ago, right? They still come home from the
80, 90
all-class
years
reunion.
ago. That's cold, man. I mean, she right though. She right.
You have all kinds of people in wheelchairs and walkers, young people and everything in between that go home for their class reunions. I think that's amazing. And it saddens me because I don't get that.
And you guys probably, we talking about all of this, right? Well, what's the solution?
Right.
So the guy is my simple answer for the solution is we got to do this ourselves. We got to take ownership of it and do it ourselves. It has been done before. Do some research on the Black Wall Streets, and not just the one in Tulsa. There's more than one. Okay, that fall under that title, Black Wall. Do some research on those communities that were all Black, successful. And we always talk about the businesses, or you hear people talking about the biz, but they had schools. It was they were self they were their own, literally it was their own city. They had schools as well. So that's going way back. And Janet, you and I have a great example of what I just said recently. Unfortunately, some things happened, but your cousins saw the need for the community for I know they didn't separate the demographic of kids, but it was basically for the Black kids that school district was mistreating and doing some crazy stuff and not educating them. It was a whole slew of things. This is recent time frame, right? We're
Right.
talking 3 years ago, 5 years ago. Right? So they went out, guys. They went out and struggled, went through to create a charter school to address that situation. That's the solution.
Right.
Homeschool, if you
Homeschooling,
can.
if you could, like
homeschool.
India, my niece is homeschooling, and if you can afford to do that, because we as parents, unfortunately, we have to do a lot of sacrificing to if we want if we have any hope for our children having a measure of success, it always starts right at home, right? And so just for the safety and so that your kid can excel, if you can, right? Then but like I said, homeschooling, there are a lot of communities within that, right? There's a whole community of that, so there are resources within that situation.
Hey,
I think it's pretty
ahead.
unfortunate that Chick's daughter is unwilling to go to counseling.
Yeah, let's get to that in a second. Let's take a little a 10-second quick break.
All right.
I need more coffee, man. Yeah, I saw that. One of the things I love about your friend, you will know how she feels about a thing because she shares, from the heart, and she's very, kind of transparent in that way. Where's that comment? I just saw it. I saw that and I was like, wow. Okay, here we go. So that's the aftermath of how our kids are treated negatively, and how that manifests as young adults, right? That doesn't look like you want to comment on that, JCG. We'll move on. Okay. Pat, comment.
Yeah, I did hear about wow. Went to school, there were diverse. Yeah. I mean, the area that I grew up in, it was predominantly Black area. The actual city that I grew up in, it was predominantly Black. But the thing that I did love about the city that I grew up in was that, for a child to see people that look like me, that are middle, upper middle, just doing a lot of things It was a steel mill company. I mean, a community. So you had a lot of it was real middle class, right? Even like the postal workers and stuff like that. Those were jobs that people actually retired from. So but then by the time, and that of course obviously that flowed into your school systems. And even though the city itself was predominantly Black, the area that I grew up in was more mixed. It was like a suburb of the city. And
Mm-hmm.
so with that came the schools that I went to. And to India's point of talking about the history, right? How the school system is lying about the history. They're constantly, people are constantly rewriting history so that it can fit whatever their particular narrative is. Let's just be clear about that. But when I was in middle school, the middle school that I went to, we actually had Black history curriculum. The middle and high school that I went to, we had Black history curriculum. And so and obviously it was more than just slavery. It was more than just Martin Luther King, and all of that kind of stuff. So I was able to gather those pieces of knowledge, in addition to being in chorus and in band and stuff like that. Those teachers gave you a bit of history about people of color, because our instructors were Black. So they did give you that history. I had a phenomenal music teacher, and there was a phenomenal jazz instructor too. So I think that it's tragic that they are no longer doing that, or rewriting it to just talk about like Harriet Tubman, or it's more. There's more to our history than just that. So when they take it away, you have to instill it. You have to instill your history to your children. Other than a couple of charter schools, there's only one high school remaining, which is West Side. Wow. All the kids are being bused there now. What can you really say to that? Again, most public schools are just failing. And it's not just failing us, it's failing all children. When you look at the mass school shootings, those mass school shootings aren't in our community. Okay, they're in our other brother and sisters communities. And that still affects, that affects the whole, us as a whole, right? We may not have the mass shootings. We have other issues, because if you're looking in lower income areas, obviously the school funds aren't flowing into those schools. So it's just a problem, all the way around. And the solution, like Sam was saying, that we do have solutions. There are, you just have to figure out what's going to be the best solution for your particular situation. Oh, they tore down Lou Wallace. Like, what? I used to work at Lou Wallace. I can't believe that. But okay, I'm gonna get off of that right now.
Yeah.
We need to
Okay.
segue into
We're
something else.
let's move on.
Hmm.
Unless someone has more comments, of course, keep your comments coming on that particular subject. Uh, okay, yeah, we both got distracted by that one, huh?
Uh-huh.
I'll let you. You want me to post that, or you want to talk about that? What are we going to
So
talk about next? We talked about school for an hour.
okay, what we're going to talk about next is, I don't know, babe. You want to talk about the show Black Love?
I haven't been watching it as much as you have, but I know a little bit about Black Love. You know what I'm saying? You know
What you
what I'm
know about
saying?
that?
Let me turn this tank back on today, guy. Oh, first of all, I see you have one of your Style with Taste designs. Is that your work?
Listen, I can't be showing this shirt like that.
No, come on now. I ain't turned the tank on yet, girl. I ain't turned that tank on yet.
You're so silly. You're so silly.
That
A
is
black
one of
lady.
my favorite design things you've done. That shirt is boss. Uh-oh. You turn yourself off. Don't go away now. I haven't turned tank on. Come on back. You deleted yourself by accident. You forgot that our laptops were touchscreen as well. So come on back. 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 Come on. You need me to resend the link. Go to your email, Janet, and come back in. Yeah, that shirt is that's some of the best work that I like that she's done. Now that stuff takes time,
Sorry, y'all.
but the end result is really awesome. Um, you get a couple of comments on that shirt.
Oh, thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. Um,
We should talk about what next now?
I mean, if you want to talk about Black love, but
Okay, all right.
well, we don't have to talk about the show itself since you haven't really caught up on it. I'll just say this about that. I really love the show. It gives a lot of perspective about different people and some of the challenges that they face, but how they manage to get past those hardships or challenges and remain together. And even if they did end up breaking up, how they
Mhm.
ended up finding their way back to one another. So I love a good you know I love a story that will talk about a challenge, but end with a solution. Because even though it's not something that I might go through, there are parts in there that are certainly applicable, right? And
Mhm.
I can always learn. You know, I am in a marriage, in a Black marriage. And so it also helps you gain a perspective from her point of view as well as his point of view. And sometimes, you can learn tools for listening to your spouse, right? And just being able to take those gems and just really really apply them sometimes to your own life to make your situation a little bit better. So I like the show.
I need. Okay, I'm gonna catch up on it, and then we'll do a specific um, talk on it. But I've watched a little bit of a couple episodes. So that show comes on. Is it on Hulu? It's a Hulu show.
It is on Hulu. It's on I believe that it's on OWN,
Oh, okay, the own
that it
network.
was on OWN, but it's on, you can catch it on OWN or on Hulu. And from what I found, yes, the show is ending. From what I learned, it was a husband and wife team who were producing the show, interviewing, doing the videos. They had to do everything just the two of them. They didn't have
Wow.
a team. And so as the show grew, right, it became a little bit more cumbersome for them to manage. So I hate to see it go, but I really for those parts that I really really love. And when it comes to it's not really Black love, but when it comes to marriages, there was something else that I came across that was really sound and applicable to our relationships. And it was like it says that no matter how mad you get with your partner, no matter how mad you get with your partner, you do not go and seek someone else's attention. I
Mm,
think that is huge. That is huge that you cannot bring a third party, into into your situation, because really, when you do that, when you open that particular door, and let's just say, to me, it's the same concept of, not like telling your business to your friends or your family, because when Mad Day is over with, your family and your friends are, they're having a preconceived notion about your person. You're back together and they're still holding on to whatever it is that you said, about that person. When we bring when you bring a third party or get the attention of somebody else, then that third party person has leverage over you and your situation. Leverage, because trust and believe, they'll be in your spouse's or your partner's inbox saying, I just wanted you to know that.
Look at here. I don't mean it. What's the song? The old song. I don't mean to put you in a bag.
This is
Yeah.
Shirley.
You know what I'm gonna do? The next time you get mad at me, I'm just turn Tank back on. I'm gonna turn that new Tank CD on, right?
You can turn Tank on all day long, just as long as you don't come up in here rubbing the back of my head.
But speaking, threw me off on that one. Speaking of Tank, so Tank, when I kind of research everything and the new album. Tank's been around for a minute, guys. R&B, which is will never go away as much as they try to kind of push it down. But he has when I saw that he was quote unquote R&B money. So anytime someone has a concept, right? I said, okay, let me look at what that is all about. And he not going to go into that right now, but I'm watching now his interview on Drink Champs. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to our son Rob. He turned me on to Drink Champs. Thanks, Rob. But Tank is on there, and those are pretty long, so I watch them. I don't have time to sit and watch a 2-hour thing, so I break it up. But anyway, we got to this point where I forgot what Nore asked Tank, but it was about the music business, right? He was like, and it's kind of related to Black Love. He said, so listen, the question was on the narrative of why has this crazy genre of rap music kind of floated to the top. He said, man, you know the answer. That's what they want. They want to portray that. They want to play that narrative out that we're thugs. We do drugs. Our women are sex fiends now. They like to dress, scattily dressed or naked on social media, right? And that this rap genre now, highlights that. R&B doesn't do that. R&B strengthens the family unit. R&B is talking about Black love. R&B is talking about
Hold on. Say that part again.
R&B is talking about Black love. Right? So of course, because it struck a nerve, not a nerve, but it struck a chord with me because I remember I was cognizant of the time when R&B kind of started going away. I'm like, wait a minute, what? And the R&B artists, when that was happening, they would come out with a new CD or album. We wouldn't really know about it because guys is what they were pushing out there. And he made some really good points. Why do you think it is that a guy like me, I'm on beat, I'm in movies, right? I got my music catalog is deep. I'm a writer, I produce, and all that, right? Why do you think I go and write a song or do a song and I get 100,000? The rap guy who just went and tattooed his body up and looking crazy and mumbling rap and you can't understand what they're saying, get $100 million contract deal. That's evidence of that's proof of what he's saying, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you need to watch Drink Champ, but there's certain interviews on there that are, and guys, by the way, it's called Drink Champs for a reason. They are drinking. Now, if you have a problem with someone sitting around drinking and having deep conversation, then it might not be for you. But those interviews, man, are dope on there. So I just happened to be watching Tank because I want to know more about his concept of R&B money, and that's part of the thing he's bringing to the light. You guys, you wonder where I've been, or you wonder why it's been difficult. That's the reason why. Because what the money, he said, we don't own this stuff. We don't own the distribution still in 2022. We don't own the conglomerate, right? So there's a solution there, right? For that, we need to start
Mhm.
owning the main pieces of the music business. But anyway, we talking about Black love. That made me think about that quote, that talk you did on that specific thing, because they don't want that type of music to be the mainstream, because it brings Black folk, Black men and women together.
You remember, I remember I'm looking at Pat's comment, and good morning, Angel. Glad that you could join us. But Pat was like, she grew up in the 70s. And, when you were saying that, the first thing that I thought about was how, you know, we used to slow dance, like
Slow
like
dance.
really, really slow dance. We used to
Uh-huh.
like touch and hold hands and just, sway ourselves, to
Gaze
the
into each
music.
other's eyes, kind of thing.
Right. But they don't even do that. This generation, they don't even slow dance. Everything is a grind. Even on the slow music, you grinding it out, or you popping it, you popping it or twerking it on things that are supposed to be like love songs. So I'm glad that you said that, because I was like, what is going on with today's music? It's like it's not facilitating togetherness.
That's by
It's
design. That is by
it's
design.
right. It's facilitating, it's one night stands,
That is a
really
that is a
hooking up.
clearly designed, well managed system. It's by design. Listen, there's no doubt that everyone listen to us right now. Doesn't matter if you're Black, white, Asian, whatever. Here's something you know about African Americans. We're extremely stronger together.
Absolutely.
Extremely stronger together. Now go back in history just a little bit. I'm going to say this, the decade of the 70s. You're going to see the last example of strong Black. You're going to see the last huge example of a strong Black unit. Guys, we at one point, Black married couples was the largest married couples in this country. We believed wholly in building the Black family. That's not too far back in time. So you want to talk about systems, it was intentional in design to decrease that power, right? And they did that by disrupting the Black family. What you laughing at?
My best friend just called me out, talking about you look like you were rolling a wheelchair instead of grinding.
I remember conscious rap as well. I wish we had more of that. Um,
Yeah, me too.
Let me see that comment. She was trying to roll away from me. She can't get away. You can't get away.
My brother is
You can't.
on.
Who?
Hey,
Which one?
Troy.
You got 13. Which one?
Don't be talking about my people now.
What's up, bro? Like, you know what? I don't know what his schedule's like, but man, you talk about a good conversation. We had Dion on here. That'll be a
Oh
fire
my
conversation
God.
right
Oh
there.
my God. Oh my God.
We need to make that happen.
My
You know,
brother is he's a minister, and he's a police chief,
yeah,
in his
I was gonna
area.
say him being the chief, he might not even get up this early. He just coming on now. He's just having his first cup of coffee.
But he does a lot of things, within his community as well. I'm very, very proud of the moves that he's making. And even my brother Terry, they're doing some really, really nice things. But we have talked about homeschooling versus public schools. We've discussed that. We have talked about the spamming that happened on your tank post.
Hmm.
We've talked about Black love and what that means, a little bit about what that means to us. But now we're segueing once again.
We are
Yes, we're segueing once again.
okay.
Let's talk about, how the fear of technology holds us back. Can we
Oh my
talk
God.
about that?
You want me? You don't, Janet? Do you want me to talk about that?
I want you
because
to talk.
and I know you brought it up because of what you see me going through a lot. And what I do, most of you, all of you probably know what I do already. I'm in financial services, guys. I do some kind of specialized programs right now. I'm showing people how to grow their money, utilizing a lot of technology. Okay, we need to get more comfortable with technology. I know you're probably saying, "What are you talking about?" I got my cell phone, but yeah, you got your computer. Yeah, some of you got dual monitors, and all that, but that doesn't mean you're comfortable moving around on said devices.
Right.
Um, so I don't know what you want me to say, but the issue that I have is, for instance, I create a real estate strategy where my clients and I now we're not having to go. For instance, guys, you guys know about um, investing in rentals, right? You go out, Janet and I would go out, we create an LLC, and go out and use that particular LLC to invest in a rental home. We got to find the property, we got to get funding, we got to rehab the property, we got to find a tenant, and let's say we're just starting out, then we got to turn around and manage said property. In other words, I'll be over there trying to do the plumbing, I'll be able to, whatever, changing out light bulbs, whatever, right? That's the traditional way. Now there's something called financial technology that's changing the game. Yet another industry using technology. So there's a program that I've put together with two platforms. We're going to be doing investing. We're investors. Read Rich Dad Poor Dad. You want to be in that I segment, right? And that B, business owner and investor. So I'm showing my clients how to be an investor, right, at the top level. Right now, if we go out and buy the home and everything, we're still investors. But I'm showing you how to be a real investor. No, you're deploying your dollars out there to go to work for you, so they can bring more dollars to you. That's the I quadrant. So these are technical. These are tech platforms, right?
Mm-hmm.
My problem is, and guys, it doesn't matter if someone only has a high school education, a bachelor's, a master's. I got clients who got doctorates. We're still not comfortable navigating these platforms, right? It's not difficult. So what does that look like? What am I trying to say? So those two platforms is a strategy where it'll allow us to get returns on an intermediate level, 5 to 7 years, plus some dividends every quarter. And the other one is a short-term level. We're getting 8 to 9% in 3 to 6 months, up to 12 to 15 months, right? But we got to sign in and create accounts on these platforms. So that simple process, which is anywhere from 3 to 5 steps, my people are having a difficult time with that, right? And if it was happening once or twice, it'd be okay. But for it to be happening a lot, I feel like I kind of need to address it. I don't know, Janet, what it is I don't know if there's some type of class. I just feel like when we have these devices, I know you and I are a bit like this. We go in and we go, okay, what can I do here? Okay, this, that. Okay, this is cool. We familiarize ourselves with all the features, right? So what I noticed, Janet, I think it's more so this fear factor, right? This is kind of new to me. Guys, we are technically in Web 3.0. Okay.
Right.
There's a lot more of us, especially these younger generations that are into the tech field or into coding and all that. But us older generations, which is kind of my client profile, still kind of lagging behind on it, right? So that's the issue we kind of have, because a lot of the stuff is really a lot of technology right now. It's not even really deep technology. Again, it's the process of being comfortable with going through the account setup phase, right? Using something as simple as a cash app, being comfortable with Bitcoin. Bitcoin ain't going nowhere, by the way. We're using it as a means to transfer monies legally in and out of some of these accounts, because some people don't think it's a value of currency right now, but it is, because we're using it to transfer monies inside of accounts at um, lower costs. Your banks are charging you higher costs to do these types of transfers. So I don't know. I mean, you see me, I got my clients by the hand, but I don't know what it is. If there's a class or if there's something that you specialize in, let me know. I would definitely blast you out, and I send a ton of people over to you. But there's a disconnect there, and a lot of people, Janet, you've seen this, are kind of proud of that. Oh, I don't need it. And I don't know if you want to bring the recent situation up, but I don't need that. But when it comes time, when those parties you're dealing with, that's how they're doing business, yeah, we do need it. We do need to understand that these 9 out of 10 of these are not the scam. The scam is what someone tried to do in my Facebook post earlier.
Right.
Right.
So
These programs have, some of them have military grade security, definitely bank level security. And they have platforms now where they're not holding your information on their platform because they don't want to be liable for it. And they can prove to you that they're not holding your pertinent information on their platform. They just need that information to set up these accounts.
So, to your point, I am the oldest girl in my family.
Okay.
I am the third oldest sibling in my family,
Okay.
right? So everybody else is younger than me. That's the point. One of my brothers was refinancing his vehicle, and the bank that he didn't want to put the app on his phone.
He
Okay,
didn't want to put an app on his phone.
he
I
didn't
bet
want
you
to put
got
the
the
app on his
gangs on
phone.
there, right?
But we're living in a time where everybody knows this, that even if whatever you're calling for, I almost swallowed my gum, y'all. Whatever you're calling about, you're getting a voice, and a robot, okay, that is trying to walk you through whatever the steps that you need to walk through. It's very seldom. You have to go through a lot to get to a live person. So, on your bank apps, it's so easy for you to go to X, Y, and Z and do what you need to do on your phone if you're dealing with, loans or looking for documents, and all this and that. But because he was insistent on talking to a live person, insistent. And they went through the process, gave him the information that he needed. And well, he needed they told him you need to sign some documents and send us this information. So he asked him to email him to him. Well, they did send an email, but the email was a link to the site to pull up his documents. And he was having a really hard time in doing that. And, I was trying to walk him through, and I was like, and of course I'm fussing because I'm just like, dude, if you would just put the information, if you would look for it online, go to the website or put it on your phone, you wouldn't have these issues. And so what I ended up having to do was, go into his information and download the information that he needed, and still had to email it to him so that he could print it out.
How much time did it take you to get that done?
It took me 2 minutes to do all of that, because of course I had to have him on the phone while I'm going into his situation.
Because he didn't have the app and all that, how much time transpired before that all that was final?
It was 2 days.
Like 3 days, and it was actually a 5-minute process.
I had to tell him at one point, listen, I've been on the phone with you all day.
You got a little hot. You have to tell him that, listen, Sam is playing that Tank CD, and I gotta go.
I was just like, get off my phone. Call me tomorrow. You're giving me brain cancer. Call me tomorrow. And we picked it back up. But it's really, this is where we are right now. And I think that probably people like me are more astute to these types of changes because of the type of workforce that I've been in. In addition to, I've banked online for years. I banked with USAA since like 98. I banked with USAA, and USAA has never been in my local area. So I've always had to, go online. And then of course, once smartphones came onto the scene, you download the app. But I've always, I've spent a great deal of my time banking online, and so when Cash App came on the scene for me, that was an easy transition. And we used Cash App to, just move money back and forth to whoever we needed to we needed to do that with. I've never had an issue, with Cash App. I've heard people say, you know, they scam my Cash App. I'm trying to figure out how they could possibly scam your Cash App
I
unless
keep
you're
telling them
you're
why.
clicking on some crazy links, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
they
how.
literally you literally have to give people your accounting information for them to be able to gain access, to your stuff. So I have clients who, I send my invoices through PayPal. That helps me keep a record of what's going, of my clients, and just keep my records. But I give my clients an option of paying. They can pay through Zelle, Cash App, or PayPal, right? And a lot of people don't like to work through PayPal. Again, I have never, I've used PayPal for, or I don't even know how long, but I've never had a problem with PayPal. So, when people tell me that, I'm just like, I'm really, really confused, because those aren't my stories, right? I know the security measures, because like the brother that I'm talking about, when he was talking to the people, he had to go through a ton of security measures, and he was getting frustrated. And I'm like, you don't want, I said, this is what you want to happen. You want to have all of these security things in place, because the chances of somebody, gaining access to your account becomes, it decreases. The percentage of that hack is decreased greatly. So that's what you want to happen. If they're not asking you a series of questions, you should have a problem with that. Well, I can't remember all of that. You better write it down and take a picture. It's for your benefit. So yeah, I just don't know why people are so, and it's younger people. I could even understand people my age or older, but it's that younger generation that is so, just not for it. And most of the time, your fears regarding technology stem from lack of information. Okay. It's the fear of the unknown that makes it worse. While there are potential pitfalls in new and emerging technologies, the main purpose of artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things and is to improve humanity and the lives of society. It's just that easy. We're more on the move than ever before. My brother, that's a minister. He had a church, and at his church, you know they didn't even bring hard Bibles. They use the Bible apps on their tablets or on their phones. And I absolutely love my hard Bible, but it's a heavy book, right? It's heavy. And so I even found myself like at church, I have a Bible app on my phone. I have the Bible app on my tablet. It's much easier for me to take my tablet to church and pull up Deuteronomy, or Exodus or Proverbs and carry around my tablet than a lot of times it is for my Bible. But I'm holding fast to that hard Bible. I ain't gonna lie. I'm holding fast to that. So
Okay.
we just want to know about the challenges. Are you afraid of technology? What are some of the challenges that you feel you have with these growing technologies?
Great point there, Janet. I'm back. Speaking of, as you're speaking on technology, we're on this Facebook Live, by the way. I'm managing a whole studio in the background, and I'm helping a couple of my agent partners put out a couple of fires. Technology. Before, what I'd be doing, I had to be on a phone call, send out an email, right? That's to your point. That's being comfortable with technology. But historically speaking, I want to say real quick is that we are all, I think our audience is old enough to remember when the first PC came out, right? Okay. We can remember when the internet came out, man, people thought the world was coming to an end, right? So if we
Mhm.
look at it from the, let's take a look at a short timeline. And So the internet comes out. You had two camps. Those of us who were like, wow, what is this new thing? The camp that's going to adopt it right away. You had another camp like, I'm not doing that. It's straight from the devil. It's evil. They're getting ready. The world's coming to an end. I'm not doing that. Now, hold on. That camp that didn't believe in it, saying it's a bad thing, it grew, if not at the same pace, but it grew just like the camp of adopters did. So internet become more popular, more people get comfortable with it. And when the people who started right then, every technology layered on top of the internet, because the internet started all this, guys, layered on top of the internet, we were instantly intrigued and we were instantly comfortable. The mindset of saying all this stuff is bad, I'm not doing it, it grew and grew. So everything else that came out, they dismiss it. So as that technology is growing, we're learning, we're adapting, we're seeing what works, we're seeing what not works. They're dismissing it all. So that's why we get to the year 2022, and we have every age of groups of ages of people who are totally like lost when it comes to technology because of that. So as a people, this is another way we fall behind.
Right.
Okay. So for my business, and what I'm trying to help people do is grow their money. That's the bottom line. That's my mission. Grow your money. When I'm showing you, hey, you want to do real estate, here's a novel way to do it using technology, right? Because not everybody can go out and buy a rental home, right? Not everybody understands how an Airbnb works when you don't own the property. Those are tech-driven platforms and programs. So because we got this mindset, and now it happened over such a long time frame that parents instill the mindset in kids that don't trust technology, right? I know that's a big part of the problem as well. And we get to this point now where, a lot of us are terrified, but I see where it holds us back because we're quote unquote afraid and not trusting of a lot of this stuff. Now, I'm not saying that all of it is legit, guys. We got to, again, use that common sense and just know a few things. You can spot the scamming stuff. That's why I always have someone who come to me and say, hey, I know you use Cash App a lot. I just got scammed. I don't know how they do it. And the first thing I say is, I know how. And first, I'm going to need you to be honest with me if I can try to help you. You clicked on a link, you gave your information to somebody or something. That's how. Let's just be real. Because they'll jump on, we see it. They'll jump on social media and Facebook is crooks. They took my money. People I talk to, I'm sorry, Cash App. Cash App is crooks. They took up money. I've been using Cash App so much and so long. I got a kind of relationship with them. They go, Sam, that ain't how it works. We are a multi-billion-dollar company. The guy basically said, what we need with your funky $2,000. He said, think about it.
I mean, for real.
Well,
For real.
multi-billion company with subsidiaries and investments in other companies. What we need, and actually he used a larger number. He said, what we need with somebody's $50,000. Why would we jeopardize taking someone's money as opposed to growing our business, which is going to give us a 10,000% better return than stealing somebody's money? Really?
Think about it. An incident that happened to me with Cash App is someone, where you have to be careful is when you're typing in, if you're sending funds to somebody, you have to make sure that you are typing in the right name. So, we all have these things, even in our email, we might do 2 or 3 strokes and a name pops up.
Uh-huh.
And if you're not paying attention, you'll send an email to the wrong person, right? It's the same thing with any other type of technology. In Cash App, well, this thing that happened with me is that, I was minding my own business. Happened to be, I get an email saying that, you received a Cash App deposit, and it was something like $1,500. And so I'm like, this is a joke. Who sent me $1,500? So I go to look at the history of my Cash App, and sure enough, somebody had sent me this money. Well, then I turned around and I got a text message. Hi, I accidentally sent you, this amount of money. I was supposed to be paying my son or daughters, whoever it was, rent, and I accidentally sent you this money. Can you send it back to me? Well, because I'm so like on high alert for scams, I don't know who this person is. I don't know anything about him. And I'm just like, of course I called my bank and I'm just like, well, this happened. What should I do? And the advice that they gave me was let them handle it through their bank. Let them handle it through their bank. Do absolutely nothing. And I did absolutely nothing. I'm like, you need to do whatever corrective measures through your own account. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not touching the money. If it's there, you know, you need to handle it, because I need to protect my own self, right? I don't need to be giving out whatever information that you're asking me for and setting myself up. If this is a real issue, then you need to handle it on your end. And it took them a couple of days, but then I noticed that the transaction was reversed. And guess what? I don't have a problem with it. I have like no problems with it at all, because you know it was done the right way. That's, to me, that's the only way that there's something like that can happen.
That makes me think about how we as a people, because my clientele is people that look like me, how our mindset on money. And look, I just keep it real, okay? A lot of us have a scammer's mindset about money. What do you mean, Sam G? So something like that happens. Instead of you saying, wait a minute, not only do I not know this person, I don't know anyone would send me $1,500. Normally people send me money, it's like $1,500. You go, oh man, I just got lucky. I hit the jackpot. Somebody made a mistake. I'm gonna keep this money. That's a scammer's mentality. And
Hmm.
that is another way a lot of our people got scammed on Cash App, trying to blame Cash App. You literally have to click and accept that. You're in, it's like in the movies, the vampire goes, hello, Janet. Aren't you going to invite me in? Because you got to invite the vampire in. That's how you invite the vampire in, by clicking on the links, right?
You
Guys,
know,
hey, someone in my, and I'm stopping looking at my inbox, because y'all be getting upset. Say it with your chest. Put your comment on the comment section here. We're non-judgmental. Yeah, if you're getting your feelings about that, then you might be one of the people that I'm talking about that have a scammer's mentality. It goes both ways, guys. There's always a yin and a yang. There's a push and a pull, right? So if someone's out there, a scammer, and by the way, this younger generation, they're proud to be scammers. Okay, and then they approach me to scam me. If I have a scammer's mentality, I'm gonna be a fool and click on the link, because I'm like, oh man, like Janet just used the fitness. Someone said, Janet, someone said it's 1,500. We going to Vegas, right? No, that means I have a bit of a scammer's mentality as well on the other side of the coin.
mhm.
So
And
govern your money, your mindset about money, and that'll help you prevent, getting into these situations as well.
so guys, what we're talking about is the fear of technology, and how to we're talking about the fear of technology and how we're going into this age. We've been in this age of technology for
Sorry.
quite some time. But I'm going to comment on Angel's point, is that the youngins definitely need technology, since they no longer teach cursive writing. They can't even sign their names.
What do you mean they don't teach cursive writing?
They don't teach cursive in schools anymore.
Who
When I
said?
was teaching, I in public schools, that I was so surprised, because I
Let
was
me find
writing
that.
on the board and I was writing in cursive, and I was talking to some of the students and they were like, I don't know what that says. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what that says? And I just, Miss Janet, I don't know what that says. And I'm like, how is it that you don't know what that says? Because they don't teach cursive. So in public schools, they have taken out how to teach your kids how to write in cursive. And it is a skill that you do need to learn, because any documents that you sign, they want a signature. And a
Not anymore.
signature is cursive.
So
Okay.
I hear this, and you know how my brain works. Let's look at this for a second now. So cursive writing has been taught forever, right? You can go back to hundreds of years, and they were writing in cursive, right? The English language, that is. So
Hmm.
if they're not teaching, guys, think this is how we need to start thinking about things. if they're not teaching cursive writing anymore, this just popped in my head. They're preparing generations for a totally digital world. So here's how I see it manifesting already. And Janet, the same accounts that I have my clients, guess what?
Mm-hmm.
I have them. My wife has them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you notice in some of these accounts that I've had, you set up in your name, by the way, guys. Speaking of couples, here's a tip, guys. If you have an investment account or something like that, double up and do it for your spouse. You'll thank me later, right? They are now saying, okay, it's a digital signature, but all you got to do is type in your name. So they're already getting everybody ready for a completely digital world. Now I see this, they're not teaching cursive in schools. They're getting generations ready for a digital world. Interesting.
But you still, because babe, even some of the
I agree with what you're saying, by the way.
when because we use a lot of hello sign, right, for client documents.
Hello sign and DocuSign.
And you do have to put your signature. Well, you can type it in, but if you get hard copies of stuff, like my brother, he had to send over some information for his for his refinance, right? He had to print out the hard copy and sign it. She can't help herself. She cannot help herself. She just sit and wait.
I think one of the most interesting coffee chats we could have would be having Rhonda Michelle Walker Kendrick, Lachey. What else name she got on the show?
Michelle.
That would be a very interesting. Michelle. It depends on what day, right, of the week you catch her. I never. That's John. I don't think I knew they stopped teaching cursive.
Yeah, I found that out. When in the 10th graders, because I was teaching 10th grade science. At the time, they were telling me that they could not write it nor read it. That they did not teach.
I just saw the comment Angela posted. That makes sense. If you can't write it,
you certainly can't read it, right? I think that there are certain things that some people's script writing is better than their handwriting, their print writing. So like Rob has a very nice penmanship, script and print. He has a very nice penmanship. So I think that it's sad that they're not teaching kids. You're definitely doing children a disservice, to me.
Here's a great question on the flip side of that, right? I mean, that's true. Electronic signatures. So I think you kind of answered it. You just answered it.
You do have, but when you have documents that that you have to sign, for example, when I had to go and close out my mom and my aunt's accounts at the bank, right? I had to sign my name. I had to do my signature. It wasn't X, it wasn't pen, it wasn't print. I had to sign my name. And so it's still, there are things that we can't get past. We are moving into another technology, but we're still in an age where there are certain things in our lives where we will have to have that skill set. My brother just experienced it. I experienced it last year. There are documents. If you are purchasing a home, right? If you're purchasing a home, when you go to close, you're signing your name. You're doing your signature on those documents. So I think that is still needed.
Angela, I would also suggest start getting you guys advisors in place as well, financial, legal, and when it comes to, I guess most people probably know that's her grandson, correct?
Yeah,
is a very extremely talented baseball player. There's no doubt that he's going to the league.
mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, make sure I would start now getting advisors in place. So don't be that statistic of getting a big contract and broke when they leave the league, right? And keep in mind, just a little tip, when it comes to if you're a parent out there and a very talented athletic kid that probably going to make it to professional sports, that should I be politically correct when I say this? First of all, someone in the family should absolutely be the checks and balances on that whole situation.
Mhm.
Here's what I'll say. Here's how I'll say it. Never ever turn over all the management of the money to any advisor. That's
Or the management of your child.
yeah. So in other words, you need to be the de facto, the deciding factor, the last signature and all that. Because you brought up a few shows ago, I think it was you, man, about how Steve Harvey admitted that he wasn't watching his money.
Right.
He wasn't watching it.
So, for somebody like Bug, right? He has parents that are very, very involved in not only his academic success, but his athleticism, too. So right now, one or both of his parents need to, like, if
Start
you're not knowledgeable in these areas,
putting
right?
people in
Take
place.
some courses
Hmm.
on management, start looking at contracts. Those are some things that, um and definitely Boogie's mom, Siobhan, she plans a lot of the family vacations, right? And so because she's planning these vacations, she is the person who the hotels are sending the contracts to. And so when you're reading over the contracts, this is a good way of being able to segue, gain a skill and segue that particular skill into the rest of your life, because she's already used to reviewing contracts. Or if she's not actually reviewing, now is the time for her to start, so that you know what the clauses are, you know what to look for, right? You know that what your room rate is and all of that kind of stuff, you've negotiated that. But those other clauses that are included in the contracts, pay very, very close attention to those clauses that are included. Arbitration and all of that kind of stuff, whatever the percentage rate is, pay attention to those types of things, so that when it comes time for you to start reviewing contracts or negotiating on Boogie's behalf, right?
Hmm.
You understand the contracts because you've been doing it. And if you haven't been
That
doing
is
it,
key.
now is the time for you to start, uh, gaining knowledge on how to review contracts, so that you'll be able to put your kids' best interests
Hmm.
forefront.
You're welcome, Angela. When we lived in Atlanta, I almost got really deep into that space. But and I still, I think I got two or three colleagues in conjunction. We get called in on some of these deals and high level deals and in cases as consultants. But what I found out is that our people, now this is going back when we were in Atlanta 10 years ago, Janet,
Mm-hmm.
8 years ago. It's going back a few years, but hopefully it's changed. But what we found out as a I guess we were a team, is that our people really did. They weren't looking for us. They were looking for the other shade because they trusted them more. But we know what happens a lot of times in those situations. But I just do it from a consultation standpoint now. Um, Not an area I try to get into, but when I know somebody who has a kid that can get into the pros. I mean, hey, start right now.
Right.
Start learning how this, like Janet was saying, the contracts are key. And the
Right.
reason why, because people go, well, we just hire a lawyer. No, you need to know what, I almost cursed. You need to know what the lawyer's talking about.
Right. You need to have some type of
You
general
know,
knowledge.
need that foundational knowledge so you'll understand these words, because not everyone's going to break everything down for you. If you're fresh to it, and they're not going to break it down in like a 5-year-old to you. You need to come into the game knowing the foundational of how all that stuff works, so you don't get taken.
Exactly. And let me tell you what happened to Ray one time. So everybody knows that Ray, is giftedly, talented. And somebody wanted to become her manager. And, Ray was like so gung ho and, all of this and that. So I said, well, let me review the contract, Ray. Let me look at it. And, so I reviewed the contract and I immediately told her no.
Hmm.
And she got mad.
Why'd you tell
Okay.
her no?
I told her no because in the contract that this person had given her, you know, uh, they were signing themselves up to get 10% of everything that she did, period.
She's
Okay,
been locked
period.
in.
They were locking her in. So here's what the issue with that was for me. It wasn't based on, you know, it wasn't based on gigs that they got for her. It was anything that she did. And they, in addition to that, you know, in the contract, it also stated that they had to go, that she would have to go through them for anything. And I told her at the time, you know, Ray already had other things going on. So I was explaining to her, even things that you have that you're doing right now at this very moment, the things that you have set up for next week. What this contract states is that you got this stuff on your own, that whoever this person is that's
Mm-hmm.
trying to be your manager, they would, number one, get 10% of it, or number two, if they didn't like it, they could tell you that it's not something that you can do. That is not the type of contract that you want. It's like they want to own you as the artist. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I told her, I said, Ray, you know, I know you don't like that I'm saying this, but you'll thank me in the long run. So let's fast forward. If this person would have been her manager and Ray did an independent tour, an independent tour in Europe, she got this gig on her own. Okay. What that says is that, you know, instead of the manager working for her,
She's
that
working
she
for the
would have been working for him. And this independent tour that she went out and this gig she got on her own, she would have been obligated, right, to pay him whatever his, you know, the fee was, in addition to, if he said, no, you can't go on this independent film tour because, you know, you're my, you know, I own you type of deal. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is one of the reasons, this is a real time and why a lot of people, a lot of artists get stuck and can't like move forward, simply because they themselves don't know how to negotiate or review a contract, and nobody in their camp knows how to do it. So they trusted somebody else to do the right thing for people. Historically, people only do the right thing for themselves.
You know, I knew this was going to come up as well. You know, how do you? I can't afford an attorney. Well, okay. You know, there's a solution, right? God, by the way, if you haven't figured it out yet, the things my wife and I talk about, we can provide solutions for you. You know what the solution is for that, right? You can't afford an attorney,
Yeah.
and this is something I don't know why some people shy away from. Legal Shield, right? I'm not associated with it, so I'm not selling you anything, right? But you have access to not just an attorney through that program, a whole well-established law firm. Okay, and guess how much that costs you? 30, $30 a month.
Right.
$30 a month. Wills, trust. We had to use ours to set somebody straight. We didn't sick an attorney on this individual. We sick a whole
A whole cease and
well-known
desist
law firm on them. And guess what happened? They totally did. And come to find out, this person was the criminal and trying to say we were criminals.
right.
That's an easy access to it, guys. There's a solution. Someone
You
came in
know,
saying that.
when it comes to entertainment, you need yourself an entertainment attorney if you're, you know, but I think that more than anything, we as the supporters of whoever our gifted person is, you know, if we know that that person, you pretty much know if your kid is gifted from the moment that they come out the womb. When Ray came out, I used to sing that song from The Color Purple, a song from The Color Purple, Sister, You've Been on My Mind. And I would hum it. And this kid would hum it back to me as an infant. Mm, okay. She would do all of that. So
Wow.
you know that your child has a gift. Okay. Like I said, when we're investing in our children, it's not just taking them from point A to point B, it's gaining knowledge. If this is what this child wants to do, then you need to know as much about that background, right, as you can to help them along the way. I mean, that's what Usher's mom did. Think about all the momagers in the world. Kris Kardashian, okay?
You want to, that's two great examples right there.
Okay.
Those two moms.
Beyonce's parents.
Uh-huh.
Beyonce's mom made all their costumes and did their hair because she was a cosmetologist. Her father was the manager. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. All day, every day.
I'll say this: we got to get up off of it. When it comes to athletes, when people are asking me, about their kids and getting contracts and everything, I point them to Shaq. Here's what I like about Shaq. So y'all see Shaq with the general and all these business. Shaq was brutally honest. He got that $1 million. He broke it down. How was it even a month? Well, the money was good. He didn't even pay the taxes on it, but he used that as a learning experience. And from that day forward, he was overseeing all of his money, and look how that turned out. Right. Now, he got advisors and a team, right? But he's overseeing it. He's looking at the investments, betting investment himself, and he's signing the checks and all that kind of stuff. There's a great example right there in the world of sports, right? But you know what time it is, right?
Oh wow, it's 10:30, guys.
I was wondering why my stomach was starting to growl.
We appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us today. I was happy to see that one of my brothers dropped in. Thank you so very much. I'm happy to see that my best friend's sister, Angel, dropped in to see us. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. We always love the feedback, that my bestie and Pat gives. And, my niece, India, she has a plethora of knowledge when it comes to homeschooling because she's doing it herself. She has firsthand knowledge of it, and she is investing in her kids. And so I just really appreciate y'all, and ciao for now.
You have an outstanding memory. Or did you take notes on everybody? What everyone said? That's just from your memory.
That's just from my memory.
Impressive. I mean, see, I don't have to think as hard. I just focus on my little thing, and if there's anything else I need, I just, hey, Janet, what was that? On such and such a date, you be going down to the second. To the second. Oh yes, we are having. What's TTFN?
What?
Time to. Anyway, she'll tell you later, I guess. We are doing virtual happy hour Friday, right?
Yes, we are. We are doing a happy hour on Friday. And, like we said, our goal is to gather information, share information, and receive information. So
I see. I wouldn't know that because I'm a man's man over here. I don't know ta for now.
Ta for now. Seriously, Angel?
I would not know that.
Where did you get that from? I didn't even know what that was. All of these acronyms.
I made it up. You know how them walkers do.
That's them Walker girls for you, man.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. We're gonna go ahead and get off of here. I'm surprised Janet. If I got hungry, I know Janet is hungry. So we'll see you guys on Friday. Is it Wednesday? It's Wednesday. We'll see you on Friday's Coffee Chat. We're doing virtual happy hour Friday night.
We are doing virtual happy hour this Friday.
Okay, I got to go to the liquor store.
And Chick can talk about. There she go. Chick can talk about take all she wants to on Friday night.
Inside, I should say our private virtual happy hour. So that is not a live venue. Okay. So
if you get a link from Sam about the virtual happy
that means we like you.
It is not a scam.
Yeah, it is not a scam.
All right, y'all.
All right, we're out of here.